So I remember a mentor of mine years ago using the phrase, what gets measured matters. And at the time I thought, that's just some highbrow thing that a coach uses. It's just one of those kind of phrases which get thrown out there. You know, like the phrases that your parents use, which you suddenly find yourself using later on when you've grown a little bit older. But it's only looking back now I realise just how important that phrase was. And it only really became important to me when I had to use it to measure something which was really, really important to me. And that thing was weight loss. Back in 2004, I weighed 17.5 stone. I was significantly heavier than I am now, and it was taking its toll. I felt really lethargic. I was really slow in terms of physical movement and thinking. I wasn't at my best by any means, and it was affecting all elements of my life. I was due to get married in the summer of 2005, and I actually sought out the help of a personal training friend of mine who said, well, I can help you with this. He said, I will put a program together for you, and we'll talk about some nutrition advice, and also I'm going to tell you how much you're going to weigh right the way down to the day you get married. And he did. And what I had to do was show up, do the exercises, do the workouts, and record them. I had to look at my nutrition. I had to be very particular on that. And I had to weigh myself every week to make sure I was on track. And lo and behold, I went from 17.5 stone down to 14 stone on the day I got married. Now, I'm not telling you for a moment that just ticking boxes and writing down the numbers of my weight was what got me there. But it meant that I could see exactly where I was on track. And it meant that while I was putting in the hard work, it gave me the motivation to know that I was moving in the right direction. And you can choose to measure any goals that you want to. Anything at all, whether it's a personal goal, whether it's a professional goal. Because if you do have a goal, if you do have something that you're aiming towards, you need to make sure that you're on track. You need to know that you're moving in the right direction. And measurement is a really useful way of doing this. And there's a phrase which I use with my clients, which is about dashboards. So, we all understand the concept of a dashboard. If you drive a car, you get in, you've got your speedometer, you've got your rev counter, you've got that information console which gives you up-to-date information of where you are. If you're driving along a road and it's 30 miles an hour, you can check to see if you're at 30 miles an hour. When the speed changes to 40 or 50 or 60, you can see what changes you make in the car and how that's affecting the speed, and it gives you that regular feedback. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to encourage you to create a dashboard of your own in order to monitor the things that you're measuring. So there's many ways of setting up this dashboard. There's many ways of monitoring this information. It could be that you're a spreadsheet person who likes it to be on a computer. It could be that you like a whiteboard on the wall with loads of figures and information on. It could be that you like a journal which you can carry around with you because you like that feel of pen and paper. Whichever one it is, find something which suits you and use it. And what I'm going to do is talk to you about a few things which are really important with whatever system you choose. The first thing is it has to be easy to complete. You have to make sure that there are absolutely zero barriers, or it's the lowest possible barriers to get you to fill out this information. Think about exercising on a cold winter's morning. You do not want to go out and do that. You're lying in bed, you're nice and warm and toasty. Outside it's raining and freezing. You just don't want to do it. You will find any excuse not to do it. But if you, the night before, get all of your equipment ready, you get your running shoes, you get your sports shoes, you get your gym equipment together, that's a lower barrier to getting it done. That's one excuse that you don't have. And it's more likely that you'll actually get up and do that exercise. And it's the same with filling out the information on a dashboard and measuring it. If you reduce the barrier to it, if you make it much easier to do, it's more likely that you'll actually fill out and complete that information. The second thing is visibility. You want something which is visible so that A, you can fill it out, and B, you can review it on a regular basis. Now, for some people, this will be a journal which is with you all the time, where you open up to a page on the day and you look at it and you monitor that progress. For other people, it might be a spreadsheet which pops up as the first window when they log into their computer in the morning. For somebody else, it could be that whiteboard which they look at every day. I've even heard of people having things they measure on bathroom cabinets. That's the first thing they see in the morning, or on the inside of a cupboard which they use on a regular basis. Wherever it is, just make sure that it's visible. The third thing's flexibility, because there's nothing worse than picking something to measure and it just not being right, and then you persisting with it despite it just feeling awful, or not completing that information and not actually having a measurement for that thing that you said you were going to measure. And there is no shame in saying, actually, I've tried measuring this for a while, it's not working, I'm going to measure something else. I've done it before. An example for me, I was tracking 300 gym workouts this year out of 366 days. That was my aim, that was my target. Things happened in the world which meant I couldn't get to the gym. So there's very little point me actually measuring and monitoring that target, so I shifted to something else. There is no problem at all with changing the thing that you measure, because that measurement has to serve you and it has to help you towards your goal. The fourth thing is accountability, and this is an interesting one. If you're the kind of person who can be very, very accountable to themselves and keep themselves intrinsically motivated, brilliant. But if you're the kind of person who needs some kind of external accountability, then there are ways in which you could do that. You could have somebody who you check in with, an accountability buddy, who actually asks you on a regular basis how you're getting on with the measurement and how you're moving towards your goals. I've got one. It's brilliant. It's really useful to sit down and have that conversation, because there may well be a barrier as to why I'm not doing something, and that person can help me through that barrier, and vice versa. I've also used a system where I have a set period that I want to do some work for, and I've got some very particular goals I want to get done in that time, and I need to monitor those goals. And actually, I've put a wager down. I've put some money in an account and said that if I do not complete these goals, that money goes towards a good cause, or it goes towards a fund for food for people to get together and when we can get together. Find a way which keeps you accountable, because it's more likely that you'll fill out the information and you will reach your goals. However you choose to monitor this, it's really important that you sit down and you review it, because what you want to identify is the correlations between different measures and different bits of action. We call this Leadin Lag Indicators, and I've been talking quite a lot to my clients about this. That there'll be something that you may do on day 1 which you will not see the results of until day 30. And what we need to do is try and get that correlation between the 2 points. And by having a dashboard and by measuring and monitoring things, you can see how that correlation can work. And it gives you some really good information and really good intelligence to help you decide how to move and how to change things in order to get towards your goals. Now, you might watch this video and think, you know what, Dave? Measurement, it's not for me, and that's absolutely cool. For me, it's been massively beneficial to my life, not just in a personal way, the story about weight loss at the beginning of the video, but also in a personal development sense and a professional development sense and a business sense. Being able to monitor things and pick what I want to monitor and measure, and then being able to review it and look at where I need to change and do things slightly differently or not do things, has been immensely valuable. And if you're not measuring stuff, I would really invite you to have a look at it and see whether it can work for you. And if you've got any questions about it, or if you need a bit of help, give me a shout.